Hello everybody, Intuition here. Thank you as always for making time and space for us. Today we want to talk about temptation. Is there something that is tempting you today? A person, a thing, an object, that second bowl of chips, that beautiful woman down the hall, that handsome man sitting at the bar? Is there something that is grabbing your attention, driving you into temptation, when there is a commitment elsewhere? Usually, temptation only comes in when you feel like there is a commitment on the other side. Otherwise, temptation wouldn't really be temptation. It would be desire or want. But temptation usually comes from the idea that I'm committed to something else. So, in order to understand temptation, it is important to really understand what that means, as well as the counterpart of temptation, which would be commitment. So, temptation usually is simply the idea of, I have a need, an unmet need, in which I feel the need to do something, but if I do it, there is a fear that there is going to be shame. But again, a temptation is usually, almost always, if not every time, coming from the idea that you have an unmet need that has gone unnoticed for so long, and now you're finally seeing it in the eyes of the bag of chips, the person down the hall, the guy at the bar. Commitment, the idea that you are morally obliged to follow a set of rules that you've put in place for yourself and said, yes, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to follow these rules. I'm committed to them. Let me put a ring on it and say yes. But if you feel obliged and you feel like you have to commit to something, then do you really want it? And that is a genuine question. Because if you were really willing to commit to something, it is not the idea that you would never be tempted. But if you were really willing to commit to something, then you wouldn't have to commit. Commitment follows the idea of punishment. If I am committing to this, then there is no way out. I am binding myself, chaining myself to this outcome. I have to lose this weight. I'm committed to losing this weight. I have to be with this person. I'm committed to being with this person. And commitment is really for the other person as much as it is for yourself, in the sense of, I'm binding myself to this certain possibility and certain outcome that then therefore there is no wiggle room for me to escape from. But if you have to commit, do you really want it in the first place? Because if you really wanted it, if you really needed it, you wouldn't have to commit. There's no words. You would just do it. Without words, without symbolicism, without cloaks and daggers, mirrors and magicians and all the things in between. The things that you really want, you don't have to commit to. The things that you really know are inherently yours to have and to want and to hold and to eat and whatever the hell in between, you go for it without saying, I commit to whatever it is. You don't commit to your dreams. You just walk towards them effortlessly. You might have to set goals up. But again, goals are not a commitment. Goals are a plan set in place that enables more of the possibility of the outcome of the goal to be met and reached. But again, commitment only gives a very limited certain set of possibilities that puts you in a corner. Because commitment is rarely for the other person. It is for you to uphold what it is that you said you were going to do when you really were iffy on doing it in the first place. So now you set up some repercussions in the idea that, well, I committed to this. I said I'd do it. And if I don't do it, there'll be hell to pay. Which sometimes leads to temptation. Not always, but sometimes. Because you didn't meet your needs the first time when you committed. Because more than likely, what your need was to not commit. More than likely, your need was to allow yourself to find what it is that you really needed or wanted in that moment, in that lifetime, and to allow yourself to follow that, or to simply allow yourself space to adjust to the idea of whatever it is that you felt you needed to commit to, then therefore you wouldn't feel the need to commit, you would just do it. But when you don't meet that need, and you just commit to something that you are already feeling iffy about, because again, you wouldn't be using the lens of commitment to do it in the first place, then you usually aren't tempted by things because you already got that need met by not rushing into something that is under the definition of commitment. Commitment, though it sounds good, is usually not the best. Because what is much better than commitment is giving yourself freely. Giving yourself freely trumps commitment. If you say you're committed to something, I want to run away from you. Because you are not really committed. But if you say you want to give yourself freely to that thing, to that person, to that individual, to that idea, to that expression, then that is so much more resounding. That even sounds better than commitment. I'm committed versus I give myself freely. Ooh, those are some words to get you excited about. So back to temptation. It is important to understand that temptation, more likely than not, is again coming from the original need that is not met when you committed to something that you weren't ready to commit to. Because if you really were ready to commit to it, you'd just be giving yourself freely. You'd just be doing it. But if it is not attached to commitment that you could see, then it rebounds back into the idea that there's a need that you have that has gone unnoticed, and you're only seeing it through the lens, through the eyes of the other that is looking back at you, the object that is looking back at you, that is tempting you to do something that you think that you shouldn't do. So if you think that you shouldn't do it, if you think I shouldn't cheat on my significant other tonight, I shouldn't eat that third bowl of chips tonight, then why? Not questioning your judgment, but again, why shouldn't you? And that doesn't mean go on ahead and do it. But why shouldn't you, in the sense of it's important to explore what need you feel is not being met? Because when you actually explore and accept the need that is not being met, it usually changes the temptation. You usually aren't tempted anymore because you really know what it is that you are needing, as opposed to trying to stuff it down with a quick fling, whether that be eating or a sexual engagement. So, what is that thing that you think you would get by having this fling? And what is the need that more than likely, if you engaged in this fling, that would still be unmet by this individual, by this thing? Because you are the only one that can meet your own needs, if you haven't figured that out already. Others can provide you a beautiful escape, but an escape simply is an escape. There's a beginning and there's an end, and it is usually a very short-lived experience, so short that it wasn't really worth having to begin with. So, what is tempting you? What is the need that you feel that has gone unmet for too long within yourself, that then therefore, when you identify that, you can meet that need by yourself in a more tangible, realistic, fulfilling way than anything or anyone could ever give you? And when you understand what that need is, maybe look at your commitments next and break a few of them. Because when you understand what your needs are, Usually it's not the arms of another. It's not filling your stomach with crap. Usually it is just that you feel empty. You feel unnoticed. You feel unwanted, not valuable. And because of those feelings, because of those beliefs, they lead you into commitments that pull you farther away from all it is that you are and keep those beliefs going. Because you still don't address those needs in your commitments. You just keep on putting them off. So, that is what we offer you in the realms and ideas of temptation, commitment, and getting your needs met. Because at the end of the day, that's what it's always been about. What are your needs? Your needs, not somebody else's needs, not the idea that somebody else can meet those needs. That's a half-assed way of doing things. And that gets many people in trouble. You can meet your own needs. You're the only one that can do it. You're the only one that knows about your needs. So, start figuring them out so that you can meet them and greet them and give them what it is that they are needing of, so that you are not driven by your needs, you are driven by your right state of mind. As always, we thank you for making time and space for us, and we wish you well identifying those needs, mitigating those temptations, and cutting loose some of those commitments. Well wishes.